Well, thank you for joining. Looks like people brought their lunch with them as well. Why not multitask?
Here for the duration. That's
Multitask, exactly. So please welcome our next guest here in the Live Arts Theatre. Going to show us the tools of her trade. It's Heather McDowell. Let's give her a round of applause.
How loud is my speaker? 1, 2, 3.
That's
How's
good. That sounds good.
Great, thank you. Thanks for coming, folks. Standing room only, John. Sorry. Go and grab another chair from the cafe, maybe. Right. So today we're going to use 10 tools to paint trees. But when I saw the size of the canvas yesterday, I thought I'm going to need a bigger knife. So I went home and raided my kitchen drawers to find a bigger knife. So my name's Heather McDowell. I live just over the river in Stoke Poges, and I teach locally, and I paint whenever I can. And my demo today is in a style that I've sold lots of trees, and now I've kind of moved on to Scottish landscapes. So what you see of my work today on show in my stand are more of a Scottish feel, whereas these trees that I'm going to paint today I've seen these trees in lots of places. I've seen them in different countries, in different seasons, but they always speak to me. These sort of silver birchy type trees, and of course lots of you will have seen hundreds of paintings of silver birches, but my thing today is looking at what other tools you can use to paint. And so I'm giving you a bit of an idea of my teaching style. You might actually would like to come to a class. I've got leaflets down here, and also my mailing list. So please do help yourself to those, and you can come and chat to me on my stand later if you'd like to as well. So let's get started. I also had to upscale my cards. I would normally use a card this size or this size on a little canvas. So I brought out the big boys. I had to cut a big bit of plastic. And we've also got spatula, a couple of brushes, and a stick, because I think you need a stick to paint a stick. So get some nice authentic marks. New pot of paint, you never know what it's going to do to you. So firstly we're going to make a little background here. So I realised I wasn't going to have time to paint the sky as well at this scale, so I did a quick do of that last night. This is all in one gesso and phthalo blue, and a bit of magenta in it as well. Just whacked it on. If you go on my Instagram you can see my speeded up video of me doing that last time. I love to work mostly in neat paint. And so I don't put very much water in. I use water to kind of spread it a little bit if it's drying out, and to wash up. Yeah. But apart from that, so when I'm painting natural things, I don't want something man-made looking too straight and ugly in it. So I like to bash up anything that's man-made and make it fit the purpose a bit more. And also, if you crinkle it a little bit, then you can re-crinkle it in a different way and get a different mark. So I trail my bit of cardboard through my paint, grab another couple of colours, and then I'm going to do some sort of spiky marks. There's another really famous painting of trees by Gustav Klimt that's got beautiful speckly, pinky, lilac-y background to it. So sort of riffing on that theme a little bit as well. So these are just some sort of background twiggy marks. And these are going to be reasonably sort of playfully abstracted trees. They're not going to be terribly realistic. And to begin with, they will just look like random marks. Although what looks like a mess close up always looks better far away. Always a boinky canvas. Now do give me a wave if you've got a question as we go along, but if I can hear your question I shall repeat it back for everybody, because I know there's lots of background noise in here under the flight path. Trampoline on this. So in order to tie colours together in a painting, I like to use the same colours in the different areas of the painting. So I'm using exactly the same pink and blue that I've used in the sky, in these background marks. And my giant bit of cardboard is scaling up nicely, because this is kind of how long it takes in normal life. Always paint around the corners. I love painting around the corners. Gives you an extra little surprise walking up to a painting. Normally join it together a bit more than this. Sometimes if you get a little blob and you think, oh, it's a bit of a blob, then you just cut into it with another colour. Give it a bit of a chop around. A bit more filling in here. This is a good workout of a scale. Right, and then further down we're going to have a sort of darker area going on here that then comes into, I'm going to make this a snowy version. I've done autumn versions of this, spring versions, bluebell versions, but this one's going to be a wintry one. So adding some brown in now. I ain't using any technical terms, so if you want technical terms you can ask me later. I really like to add blue into my browns to get depth. I really rarely use black in what I would think of as naturalistic paintings, even abstracts. I'm going to get to my inner black eventually, but that's not the vibe of this painting. This painting has got lots of life and despite the frenzied activity to make it, it actually turns out quite a serene picture, really. And I have done this painting as a workshop before as well, so there's a few of these stands of trees kicking about in Buckinghamshire. It's a nice one to do, very absorbing and undemanding on the little grey cells.
I've come back 3 times. Really said to me, I can buy it for you as part of your Christmas gift.
I think I might have gone a bit on the floor there. There's no dog to try and eat it here.
Do you want to compare? I would want to compare. I can buy a teddy bear.
Drink, and then you've got to try and work out how to get the drink off it before it tries to swallow it. Right, I'm going to switch to a brush. I need to get on with my other tools and not forget my tools. More paint, more paint. Try and fire it in the opposite direction. Not in this flash swing. bigger brush. I was already going to use my big brush. So, yeah, big brush. So a big brush gives you just a little bit more splodgy coverage. Slightly different mark. And get to my products. A bit easier to wiggle up and down with the brush. Come down a bit further with this one. You have to be very careful when you're doing something fast not to make a pattern, because your brain likes a pattern. It will make railings if you're not careful. So you have to sort of get yourself a little twitch that makes a different mark every now and then. What's a good splodge there? Now, I haven't got much undulation in this at the moment, so I think we're going to make it slightly more lively coming downwards here. Oh, it's terribly boring and flat. Oh, there goes another bit. Drop this black carpet here.
One of these is a merchant property. The second one is
Giant knife time. Oh, oh, oh. Right, so giant knife is going to make our first couple of trees, because they've got a load of old bracken in there at the moment and bits of undergrowth. So again, I'm using the edge of this. So if you haven't got a palette knife, then you can use a bit of cardboard. The palette knife gives you some other actions as well, so we'll do those shortly. But we're going to add all the colours. Let's have all the colours. And these trees are a little bit further away, and therefore the colours are a little bit merged and slightly smaller. Then we get another random selection of colours. This is the other thing I really love about this method, is you cannot control your colours once you've smooshed them all together. Oh, that's a technical sound. And mark making wise, I'm not doing anything weird here. I'm not using some magical ninja process, but I think that what's special about this is all the stands of trees that I've seen have gone into here. All the times I've painted it have gone into here, and so what you're seeing is a collection of memories and evolution, and what I liked one time and did lots more, or what I didn't like and chose not to do again. And so you get a distilled version, especially when I'm doing it at speed, because I don't know what's coming out next if I'm doing it at speed. Get some that are a little bit less formed, some that maybe are broken or hidden, or just your mind doesn't see all of it there.
Oh, lovely.
Off the edge. More pink, more pink. stand back. That is the main rule. It's all right. I don't know what's gonna, a bit of a scratch into here as well. Right on the floor. And you get some interesting stuff. Right. Use it. Okay, what else have I got here? Spatula. I think we're back to big bit of plastic. So I would normally on a little scale use a bit of store card, either a whole store card or a half store card, my necked card. But so I had to get a bigger bit of plastic, and kind of using the same method as before in some places, and then using it as a much finer line in other places. So you can also kind of give it a bit of a bend. And this is a method I use lots for grasses and things, and using all of these marks and sometimes a bit of tissue paper underneath, all of that gives you lovely different textures. How many tools am I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So we exhibit a great art just outside Henley in the summer, which is a lovely exhibition, and we've got
Oh, big splodge. Getting that
out
splodge.
that way. In the summer it's lovely. Okay. I might hit the ceiling. Yeah.
Right. Then as this is a snowy scene, we're going to add a bit of snow. Where am I going to add that? I would normally do this flat. So use a lot of paint like this. Oh. So, in order to create a bit of perspective in my picture, apart from the trees that are far away being a little bit more merged, they are also doing the upright motif in this. And along the bottom here in the snow, we're doing a horizontal mark making so that you could walk on it. And that gives you the perspective of that foreground. It's partly I'm leaving a little bit of swirly texture. The light's just right for seeing that, which is from my angle anyway. Can you see it? Yeah. I love icing snow on, and having that little bit of dirt in it as well. It's pretty because you've got all your other colours that are going on in here. And also it adds to your horizontal mark making. And again, you can't control it. It just does what it wants to do, which I love. Paint has its own little voice. Yes, absolutely, please do. I think because I don't want to splurge the easel, I'm not going to do all the way down to the bottom. That's going to stay like that. Now, in order to keep some of these streaks, there's a limit to how many times you can go over this. If I keep playing at it, then gradually it all merges into the same colour. So you do have to kind of know when to go, that's enough. But also I can see the canvas through, so it is staying like that. Come over this little bit and then I'm going to switch. So I use this technique for sea as well, seascapes. You get a beautiful variation of colour that you haven't specifically controlled. You can do lovely waves with it, either breaking waves or just rolling surf and what do you call it? Swell. So, take about a week to dry. Never mind. Good job it's acrylic. Right. Next, some big trees. What doors are we in? More paint. Just use the paint I've got on this. Right. So the trick to big trees is to pull across in a bigger way. So I'm sort of mentally planning my trees. I've got this nice undulation here that makes an asymmetry. I've got these that are not all railings. They've got, you know, this one's got a friend, this one's got a friend. A little bit of crossing over. And so I'm going to put, probably in this size, I'm going to put 5 trees. And again, they're not going to be railings. They are going to be slightly leaning, a little bit, you know, a couple of them closer together. There'll probably be one of them wandering off by itself. So that's what's in my head when I'm sort of planning this next phase. And the gardeners among you will appreciate the planting of things in odd numbers. Don't know why it looks better? Just does. There's probably a mathematical reason. So at the moment, because I've got quite a bit of a mess on here, I've got quite merged colours again. But the lovely thing about this is that you can keep pulling at it if you want it to merge more. That's quite a stepped tree there. Got a bit of a wobble, got its leaf on the ground. Okay, so I'm planning the heights of my bottoms as well. So maybe the next one's going to go about here. Be similar width. I want it to get a little bit narrower probably as I go up. Definitely not wider. That'll look weird.
Oh, I know, it just gets worse.
There. Sometimes I leave a little bit of sky showing through for no reason at all, and I like it. Right, your bottom can be a little bit higher. Let's go to here. This one's going to lean inwards a little bit, and it's going to have a very low bottom. Dog marks at the bottom over the snow. That's partly a kind of contrast aesthetic and partly just they are dirty and hot. Whenever you see these trees, they've always got very sort of flaky, muddy, rotteny, scuffed bit at the bottom. Right, and then I don't want 4, I want 5, so I'm going to have a having a think about this. If I want wanted to, I could completely run one out target, but not at this pace. And also, the lovely thing about acrylic is you really don't like it, you can just paint over the whole thing and start again. Some of my paintings have got no friends. You x-ray them, you get the full story. Oh yeah, when I'm famous, yeah. In my own backyard. Right, so this is going to have a nice dirty bit on the bottom. No, not that one. That's the one I'm finished. Carry on tickling at them. Mostly I want to kind of get a bit more of a kind of definition on them because these are supposed to be my foreground. So they want darker darks and lighter lights, brighter brights. That's how I paint perspective. Everyone has their own little take on what works. Also, a bit bogged down. Some of these have a bit more of a contrast mark. Oh, here's going to turn into happy accident. I can feel that coming. That's fine. Some blobs just are meant to stay. Right, time for another tool. Right, so I would quite often use a stick to draw a stick. I think you get a nice sort of unfussy, spiky little line with it. I like to use a little bit of ink in this. This is a very dark brown. Tip a little bit, there's only a tiny bit left in here. So, my stick. Probably could have found a bigger stick somewhere, but so here's then going to make a twiggy mark. And also a bit of a kind of knotty bit in a couple of places. You can't make the stick do something exact. You have to accept whatever the stick is prepared to do. So that's why it makes a nice unpredictable mark. This is where I don't want them all to go the same way or be the same height or I can't do it that way because it's all running down the stick. So I would normally do this one. that. It might come back to stick. He always feels like it takes a long time. This is a bit of buddlier, I think. It's got that sort of reediness to it. I'll have to think of a use for spatula. I haven't used spatula very much before. Right, so we've got this lovely scene that it's going to snow. And the way I like to make snow is quite flicky. Wow. No, I'm flicking it this way, not flicking that way. You want to stand in the danger zone to be about here. So again, scaling wise, I brought a bigger brush, but it's not very flicky. So I think I'm probably better off with a trusty toothbrush. You want something the consistency of toothpaste to be. So my specks are not very big at this scale. Anyway, a bit snowier. And again, this works a bit better flat. You can sort of point it where you want it a bit more. You can hold it really near and get little little groupings. You can mask a bit if you don't want specks on a certain bit. You can use the ink as well, but I think I want to use the pipette ink. And I think I just need to tip it a little bit. Any questions? Trees are not looking very tidy or refined, are they?
Are you on? Okay, see you again. Nice to meet you. I'll contact you soon about. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow anyway. Bye.
How much can I get away with? One of my tools. I sometimes use kitchen roll in this phase here. Oh, that's done it. Always get much messier doing demos than I ever would at home. Because I'm not really looking at everything that's doing it. Bit more trees there. Pink, more pink. Last time. I did spill nearly a whole bottle of brown ink on the floor. Is anybody there for that? Was in trouble with.
Hi, Anne-Marie. You're taking over from us. Sorry, I didn't know your name. Arabella. Hi. That's Kate. Sorry.
When you get it on the handles, you realise that it's going everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it.
Is it easy? Yes. Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to rescue this tree here.
Oh, and in fact, he wants us turning off because
Can't quite go
so that would turn off. Oh no.
And I want want to add a bit more white to each of these because that's going to make them shine a little bit more. Let's have a little palette knife. So making your brights a little bit brighter and your whites a little bit whiter, just lifts things a bit. There. Oh, it's nice, but I want it white. So I'm just going to spend another 5 minutes on this in case you're wondering how long it's going to be. Yeah, well, I rarely, if ever, finish a painting when I'm doing a workshop. So I'll do a bit, and I'll do kind of half of this bit, and then I'll give you all the paint so that you're doing it. And then I come back and I do the next bit, and I've still only half done that bit. So I have lots of half-done paintings after a workshop. And also it depends how much help people need. Sometimes I've got a collection of people who've done lots of my workshops before and they just go, yeah, all right, and they get on with it. Sometimes there's more people who are first-timers or a bit nervous, and so the steps take a little bit longer because I like to go around and help people in between. And I try and scale things so that people take it home finished. So we do 3-hour workshops, and that's plenty for most people if they don't paint very often. Yeah. And I reckon I can teach anybody. Even if you think you can't paint, I think I can teach you. Because everybody has different ways of learning. And so if you have only had one type of art teacher, and they only gave you one type of instruction, you might not have thrived on that at all and gone away very disappointed, or it might be a really long time ago. And I use my occupational therapy background, my first career, and I grade things so that people can manage them. And different ways of explaining things. So sometimes people need really specific, concrete instructions, like more white, a tiny bit of that, and make a triangle in that spot there. And sometimes people need an instruction like make it grassy. So and different people respond in different ways. Everybody has a different speed of painting, so sometimes I'll get speedy people, and then Janice likes to do everything very steadily. So the speedy people can have some extra instructions that they can get on with, so they don't cause mischief. And then so the people who are a bit steadier pace don't feel too left behind. And then I have my weekly classes as well. And so if a one-off speedy workshop is not your thing, then a weekly class might suit you better. Yeah, have to keep going round. And then we stop for a tea break. And best biscuits. So I also am happy to come and teach bespoke workshops as well. So if you've got either a group of friends that want to come at a specific time, but you want to come to my venue, that's fine. Or if you've got a big enough dining room table, you can come round to your dining room table. Oh, I don't want that much brown just there. That implies all sorts of things. Right. What have I forgotten? Not a lot. Let's have a look from over here. Well, I think I'm just about done there, those boats. If I was going to spend 10 more hours on it, then I would do a bit more snow, a bit more with my stick. And I think I got through my 10 tools with the different cards and the different brushes. And that's something we sometimes do in the workshop, is use all sorts of different tools rather than just brushes, because that's something else. Sometimes people go, oh, brushes. So we'll try and mix things up a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah. So I've got leaflets for my workshops here, and my mailing list of painting.